We're about 6 weeks from the Vols opener, which, by the way, the live pregame show will be right here. It'll be the Sports Source Saturday kickoff. About 6 weeks away. SEC Media Days get underway tomorrow. But I want to spend most of this show talking Tennessee, not Feinbaum, not Greg Sankey. So we looked this week on the Sports Source Digital Network at Tennessee's first quarter offense. So the observation has been from everyone, well, it's really dropped off from where it was when Heupel first got here. So I went back and looked at every single first quarter, every single first drive of the Heupel era and did the numbers. Boy, it is a drop and a half. 2021, his first year, Tennessee scored 190 points in first quarters that year. 14.6 points in the first quarter per game.
Led the nation.
2022, that dropped off to 141 points, but still 10.8 points per game. The next year, it's mainly Joe Milton at quarterback, and it drops down to 110 points, 8 points a game. And then last year with Nico, 102 points, 7.8 points a game. So it's gone from 14 to 10 to 8 to 7. And in the SEC, that number went from 14 in the first quarters to 9 to 9 to 4 points in the first quarter of games in 8 SEC games last year.
I think there's several things at work. One is defenses are probably catching up a little bit with the up-tempo. Secondly, I'm not sure that the game planning is quite as good. I don't know that the quarterback plays as good. This past year, there were 3 first halves where Tennessee didn't even score. But I do remember this. I remember Dylan Sampson fumbling twice on opening drives, and I remember a drop pass on an opening drive. So they shot themselves in the foot a little bit, more so this past year than before. But I do think just a big part of it is defense is probably catching up and maybe just not getting as good a quarterback play.
That whole 20-minute segment, unedited, the whole deal, is on demand at Sports Source Digital Network. You can find it. Jimmy Himes, Tyler Ivins, and myself chatting on our YouTube channel. It's free. Go check it out. Vince, I want to start with you. Do you have a feeling that this trend, it's doing this, is it going to be stopped this year? Is it going to turn around this year? Do you have any positive feeling that first quarters are going to be a first strike offense for Josh Heupel again?
I think there's a little bit of hope, but it's not a super strong conviction from my standpoint right now. Obviously, we have to see what Joey Aguilar looks like. And part of it is not just how he looks, but it may be an adjustment as things go on early in the season. Maybe they give him a little bit of rope, and then they yank it back. I mean, because that was a little bit of Nico last year, too. Once they got it in the Oklahoma game, they figured out, okay, we're not going to be the threat in the passing game we need to up the middle, then we're going to dial it back. So I think they'd like to. I think that's an area they want to address. So there's hope to maybe be a little bit. So I would say at the minimum stop it, maybe just a little bit better, but I don't anticipate the quarterback play to be like Hendon Hooker to where they can jump right back to where they were.
Okay, how much of this, we heard Jimmy throwing out just a minute. We Tyler threw out tempo in that show. So tempo, quarterback play.
All tempo. All tempo. You're running.
You say it's all tempo.
I think it's, and I think part of it's your quarterback play. You couldn't run tempo with the last 2 guys that you had. There's a difference, even when Jimmy mentioned tempo. There's a difference to snap the ball in 19 seconds and 29 seconds. That extra 10 seconds matters. You can be a lot more vanilla offensively if you're going so fast that you know the defense is going to make a mistake or there's a good chance of it. But when you don't go tempo in this offense, you're just running the same stuff 300 Texas high schools are running right now. And, I mean, any high school defensive coordinator in East Tennessee could come up with a game plan to at least slow that down. But when you go tempo, you force a defense to stay vanilla, and then you have an opportunity to attack something.
But I think it's totally based on the personnel. If you have the personnel, 1, that you trust, 2, that can execute. Look, they are a downhill front-running offense. When you get a first down or you get 8 or 9 yards on first down, boom, they're running to the line. If you get penalties and it's 1st and 15, then you have to dial it back. So this is totally about their personnel and their trust in their personnel. You're right, the tempo is a key to their offense. They just have to have the right guy.
Well, that's also.
I agree with the Vince there. The personnel probably meant they couldn't run tempo the last 2 years.
I think it's a combination of probably 4 different factors. I think the overall thing is you're just not as explosive on offense in general. So if you're not as explosive, you're not going to be as good in the first quarter. It's familiarity. SEC defenses catch up over time. I mean, Steve Spurrier is about the only one we've seen over a long period of time really keep the SEC on its heels defensively over the years. People eventually figure you out.
And they figured him out when he came back with South Carolina. He had to change his offense.
Absolutely. So that's part of it. And then I think a big part of this is not just quarterback play, receiver play. I don't think Tennessee was explosive enough at wide receiver last year. Not anyone that's really taken a short pass and going 50 yards. They had 4 or 5 play scoring drives, so many scoring drives under 2 minutes. They just weren't doing that as much last year, so that obviously translated to not doing it at all almost in the first quarter.
Chuck, when Josh Heupel first arrived, we talked about what an unbelievable job they did of scripting the first couple of drives.
Right.
They would jump on teams, and here's the reason it's so important. How many times did we see an opposing coach make a stupid decision because, oh gosh, they're up 7-0. We have to overreact because it's going to be, as Brian Kelly once said, an avalanche. You've lost that. Teams aren't scared of you now, especially jumping on you out of the gate. How much of this also, we haven't mentioned the names, Alex Golesh and Joey Aguilar.
That's exactly where I was going to go. I just don't think, and I agree with everything that's been said. I don't think you've been creative enough. And it wasn't just the first quarter, John, but at Georgia.
No, but let's keep it to the first quarter.
The first quarter, you just haven't come out and asserted anything you do extremely well. You don't have the playmakers. If Dylan Sampson didn't get it, where were you going to get it? So, I mean, it just comes back to where it's something that I think they really have to look at and figure out what can we do better, because you couldn't do tempo. We heard your tackles for a while weren't in good enough shape to run tempo offense.
Well, the other thing about the tempo that drove me nuts last year, it's like, well, if you don't get the big first down, if you don't get a big gain on first down, you can't do it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've watched enough NFL football in a 2-minute drive.
Right.
All right, you're down 7. There's 30 seconds to go. They don't have sacked on first down. So the offense says, well, let's just go slow. We can't go. You can run back to the line. You can do it on second down, doing a third down.
Right.
I understand that.
Right.
Then you got to do the math. It's like, well, we're behind, so we're going to turn this. We're behind the chains. We're going to turn this ball back over to the defense, back over to their offense quickly. Put our defense on. I get it, but that's part of the offense. Either be tempo or run a different offense, is my opinion. That said, I do wonder though. You scripted plays to the point that second year in 2022. By the end of the year, we were saying, okay, you got to get your points early. Because it dropped off. You had these huge first quarters, and then it kind of dropped off. Now you've lost that advantage of being able to script the plays, whatever. Maybe it's tempo, maybe it's quarterback play, maybe it's receiver play, maybe it's your offensive coordinator, whatever it is. You've lost that love and feeling. You've lost that first strike, quick strike ability that really sets you up and put the fear of God into the other guys. And I don't know, I'm not confident you get that back this year. I'm not saying it's gone forever. But I don't know with a brand new offense, brand new center, who we don't know who that center is going to be yet, brand new quarterback. I think most of us assume it's Joey Aguilar, but Adam Sparks, who I think does a great job as a beat writer for the Vols, he makes it very clear in his opinion that it is wide open. Aguilar does not have the lead. It is wide open. I'm not buying that, but again, I think Adam Sparks does excellent work. So we need to put that out there because there are fans who email me and say, why are you just giving it to Aguilar? I don't know with all those changes that you're going to be able to jump back to what you were before. I just don't see that.
Could the adjustment to the offense this year, bringing in Seth Littrell and
Helps.
going pistol? I mean, we saw Jeff Levy in this offense adjust it a little bit when he was the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss and then at Oklahoma. And he doesn't have the players necessarily at Mississippi State, so they ran it a lot more with the quarterback last year. But we've seen adjustments being made to this offense that Tennessee hasn't made yet. And so can Tennessee making those adjustments with this offense, can that be the catalyst that causes you to maybe be able to jump back on top of teams?
And John,
Very
I think
quickly,
too,
yes.
a lot of times you were letting the defense play downhill. Brian has talked about how there's no motion, there's no shift, there's nothing to make them at least have that split second of what's my assignment, what do I need to do? You need to get back to being a little bit more creative too, and not just try to do the same thing you've been doing.
I think we'll see some different looks from them this year. So I think it'll rebound, but I'm not sure we'll ever see it at that level we saw it in 2021 and 22.
Yeah,
That was
14, 10 point, double digits.
That was
in
the
first
that
quarter.
was the newness of the offense to me. I think people have adjusted, and it's going to be hard to do that again.
All right. Well, the interesting thing is, I guess it was the newness of the offense in the SEC because it was an old offense.
Right.
It had been around, and also, I wonder how much of this is, and we've talked about it on the show, the more schools started hiring guys who run this offense in this league, I don't think that's good for you. If you're the only one doing it, and you're the only one we have to practice for, Now, if there's Mississippi State, Ole Miss kinda, Tennessee, hell, we see it every other week. We know what to do with this. We know how to deal with the tempo and everything else.